Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Goldfish Report. I'm your host, Louisa, and I'm joined today with our co-host, Steve. Steve, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Good to be back.
Okay, and we have a special guest joining us today, Tiffany Fontenot. She does reverse speech analysis. She studied with David Oates, and she is joining us today. Welcome to the Goldfish Report, Tiffany.
How are y'all doing? It's good to see you guys.
It's really good, and this is your first time on the Goldfish Report. We're so happy that you joined us.
It is. I'm so excited. I'm nervous.
Well, there's nothing.
Come on. Louisa doesn't bite often.
Not hard. Okay. Tiffany, I know that you studied. You have some really interesting information that you put out. And I love that you're from Texas because, you know, Texans are my favorite people, and I just love Texans. So they're just so full of cheer and good attitude. So it's always a pleasure. It's always a good time to talk to Texans, always. So we're going to talk about, you know, the history, the background of the reverse speech analysis. Where did it come from? Who discovered it? We know that in the 1970s, right, Steve, they would play the record player backwards, and then they would find that there were messages.
Satanic bands, rock bands. That's right.
Yeah, these messages would just appear. So can you give us a little background and tell us where did this come from?
Sure. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to tell you really quick. I'm a retired public school teacher. I had to take disability retirement, so I've always been intrigued with reverse speech since I came across it on. I was listening to a radio show that David Oates was on, and he was playing a little game to see if people could guess what the reversals were, and I kept getting all of them right. So I was like, woo! And I'm good at auditory tasks, and you guys are musicians, so any musicians out there are probably going to be good at this. And if you're good at auditory tasks, and we're really looking for a lot of people who want to sign up and take the training because we need reverse speech specialists. So let me tell you what it is. It was discovered by my teacher, David Oates, in 1984. And I apologize. I'm going to be doing probably a lot of reading just because I want to make sure that you guys, I just prepped in advance so we could get everything in.
That's okay.
So this is from the About tab on David's YouTube channel, and to find that, you just go to YouTube and search for David Oates, reverse speech. And so he has reverse speech is another form of human communication that is automatically generated by the brain as we speak. It occurs backwards in speech, and it can be heard if human speech is recorded and played backwards. So mixed amongst the gibberish at regular intervals can be heard quite clear, grammatically correct sentences that detail what is happening in the unconscious mind of the speaker. So, and David wrote his theory of reverse speech in around 1991, and we just recently found it online in the CIA reading room.
Wow.
Which was amazing because David kept telling everybody, he was like, yeah, I taught all of these intelligence people. I had a room full of them, and it was a 5-day workshop, and I taught them in DC, and then I never heard from them again. And
so you reckon they've been good? They've gone off and they've been using this ever since? You think so? Yeah. Okay.
And then somebody sent me a link the other day, and we were like, OMG, look at it. It's reverse speech is right there in the CIA reading room, you know. So that was amazing.
Let me just right off the top, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to, you know, let our viewers know that that there's not a lot of information available on this reverse speech analysis. We're so thrilled that Tiffany's here to bring this to us, but there's not enough research for us to really, I mean, I don't feel like I completely understand it myself. That's part of the reason why we're doing the interview. So I just wanted our viewers to know that there's, I think, still a little bit, you know, more that we need to learn about this, and there needs to be, you know, studies done, and they need to be replicated, and we need to get a deeper understanding of this. But I have complete respect for what we can hear, and we're going to show samples of that in our interview as well. So sorry to interrupt. Go right ahead.
Okay, well, David has done a study on it, and the study was, I don't know if there's more than one, but the one that I'm aware of, they did the EEG he had reversals he knew right where those reversals were in the forward speech. And so they would put EEGs on the volunteer for the study. And he would play the tape. And then every time in the forward speech where they got to the reversal, the little needle would go tss. So these reversals are being heard and they are registering in the brain on a very subtle level. So that was one of that was a study that I'm aware of. Also, it has been used in police work. David, you know how policemen will interview the perp? They'll interview him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have a tape of that, and they gave one of those to David, and he's worked with the police, more than once. I don't know how many times, but this particular time was interesting because this is one that we learn about in the course when you're taking the course. And so the guy, the interviewer is asking the perp, where did you hide the weapon? And he was like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. You know how they
Yeah, exactly.
Backwards was another story.
Backwards is a different story.
Yeah, exactly.
They reviewed that tape and he said that the weapon was in the basement.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that is exactly where the police found it. So it's so reverse speech is pretty awesome that way.
Yeah, okay, but just sorry to go off on a tangent. I listened to a few of the files that I found on your website, and what occurred to me was that, okay, there is a certain amount of interpretation involved as well, isn't there? Because some things aren't that clear. So is it intuition, is it interpretation? How would you describe it?
Well, just like in forward speech, you're interpreting all the time.
Right.
But you have to understand the amount of training that goes into this.
Okay.
And David is a big fan of rigor. So we do this all the time to get certified. So it takes about 6 months. Now, there are a lot of light workers out there who get qualifications and get certified in something in 6 days. This is not that course. This takes, for you to get your analyst certification, it takes 6 months.
And that's his course. He invented the course, obviously.
Yeah, he came up with all of that. It's all coming.
Okay,
and
all right.
He's been researching and doing sessions with clients constantly for over 30 years. So there's a lot of stuff that goes
background. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you start working with clients and working with all of this, you start learning the language, and it's
okay.
Language of metaphors, and that's coming up in just a minute. But yeah, so there's intense study and intense training, and the metaphors that are used, they come out from we're going to talk about, we'll get there. Yeah. But yeah, so most people, just like in regular language, in forward speech, you can compare it to. So you and I, you're from England, although we can still understand each other. And in reverse, we have many of the same metaphors, like most of them in common. But there will be some that will be particular to maybe just your family or some other group. And there may be a little few that are just particular to you. So that's so you can kind of compare it to forward speech in that way.
Right.
And we'll get into that a little more when we talk about reverse speech.
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to throw you off on a tangent there. I didn't mean to.
That's
keep
okay.
Going. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so now where it comes from. Where it comes from, you're hearing people's subconscious, and you're hearing people's higher selves, higher aspect.
Yep.
God, whatever, the higher realm. You're going to hear that comment from time to time. But most of the time what you're hearing is the subconscious coming through. And now, so this is just like our forward speech is in our DNA, so is reverse speech. This is coming from your DNA. This is human DNA. This is a human superpower that has been discovered.
Okay.
It is amazing, and it is our birthright to learn about it.
How do we know that it's from the DNA?
Well, when you start studying reverse speech and you hear these, and that's going to be coming up too. I have it all mapped out, dude.
Okay. I'm happy to hear it. I'm curious.
You know, I'll tell you, Tiffany, not everybody's quite as, prepared as you are, so it's okay.
Well, yeah,
we're all ready. We're all good.
I was a public school
Hit
teacher.
me with it.
I got it all in there, I think.
No, she's good. This is like a lesson plan. This is good.
No, I'm
I'm
ready.
making lesson plans. That's what it is. Sorry.
That's what we need.
Okay.
That's
All right.
what we need. We need lesson plans.
Okay, so from the DNA. Okay.
When I speak forward, and
Yeah.
that is obviously in our DNA to do that, because it's imprint. Everything that we do is imprinted in our DNA.
DNA has grammar. That's what I do understand. So,
Okay,
so speech is from the. I can. That's not a stretch for me. Okay, I get
so
that.
anything that you can do, it's somewhere in your DNA.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, because we can do that, it's there somewhere.
Right. Okay.
Where I'm coming with that. Does that make
Right.
sense? I mean, you can move your eyes back and forth. That's somewhere in your DNA. You can.
Yeah. It's allowed. It's there programmed,
Right.
and we can access it. Okay.
It's just
All
there
right.
for
There's
us
a
to
lot
discover.
of stuff in our DNA that we've not discovered yet.
Absolutely.
One of them, and it is actually a human superpower, because you can use it to keep yourself in balance and to walk in truth, and expand consciousness, basically, because if everybody is using that, and if everybody is balanced and everybody is walking in truth,
Yeah.
then that's going to help to expand consciousness.
Okay.
I have a feeling that some of this can be discussed as we listen to the reversals.
Yeah. Let's hit us with one.
Okay. I have to take my head. Hold on a second. I have to take my headset off because otherwise.
Louise is going to be technological now.
Yeah.
Okay, now this comes from a place inside of us that never, ever lies. Okay, that's one thing that you have to know about reverse speech.
It's a well of truth.
Yes, it comes from a place in us that tells the truth, always, period.
Is it linked to dreams? Because dreams are also in metaphors, aren't they?
Yes, it is.
Right.
It comes from the same place.
Okay.
So, because those metaphors that are showing up in your dreams will often show up in reverse speech. And the metaphors that show up in our dreams we have in common, and also in reverse speech.
Right. So we generally don't have control over our dreams unless we enter a lucid dreaming state, but that's something else again. So it's part of our subconscious, you'd say? It's the subconscious or the unconscious?
Well, the higher aspect will come in and talk to you in your reverse.
Right.
And you do pick it up on a subtle level. Now, one thing y'all don't know about me is that I'm also level 2 certified from Dolores Cannon when she was alive.
Right.
In QHHT, sort of the hypnotherapy, that past life regression and getting.
Yeah.
And we would always hear from just about everybody, well, why doesn't she blah, 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 whatever it is. And they would always say, she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen. They're telling us stuff all the time. So we're going to have to be more tuned into that, because this does register on a subtle level, and we have G to prove it, and that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Do you want to?
You ready, Louisa?
Yeah. Do you want to explain the first one, Tiffany? It's the JFK. Is that where you'd like to go, or where would you like to go, dear?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can do that, but we're skipping through a lot of stuff to get there. Do y'all want to?
What I'm wondering is whether we can get to that as we're playing them, because I think there's going to be a lot to comment on. Like there's going to be things, but go ahead. We'll wait for you.
Just play it. Oh, okay. Whatever.
That's our lesson plan, Steve.
Okay. I wouldn't want to bother that.
Yeah, look, she's going to meet you after school.
You got a big stick.
I'm going to meet you behind Whataburger.
Gotta whip your behind.
is cooking for some detention here, so you need to.
That's right.
Okay, so
hit us.
Okay, so reverse speech. So we can use it like a lie detector and also a therapy to help restructure unhealthy things that we find in our subconscious that are causing alignment problems. So when your subconscious is one type of software that you run, and your conscious is another type of software that you run. And if those start coming in conflict with each other, then you start having error messages show up in your reality somewhere. So they can show up as pain messages in your body, or they can show up as blockages, stuff like that.
That's a type of subtle biofeedback.
Well, we actually are, this is part of creation. This is how we create our reality, actually. If you're familiar with Jung, he says that we actually use these metaphors to create our reality. And we actually inherit them from our parents also. So, and this
limitations and possibilities.
Collective unconsciousness, yeah. So we're using these to create. And so when you have a day like, oh my God, I should never have gotten out of bed today, that's coming from somewhere. So if you're going through a rough patch or whatever, then there may be conflicts going on. So you're fighting yourself, basically. And we go in there and we find the unhealthy ones and we align them. And your higher self, there's a whole process that it works through your reverse speech. Your higher self is basically telling us how to give you a guided meditation so that you will resolve those conflicts, is basically what happens in the therapy.
Fabulous.
Okay, so now also I just want to say your higher self, when it comes in to speak, it's not going to choose one religion over another or anything. It's interested in this.
It's agnostic.
Well, it's not agnostic because it's encouraging you toward benevolence and toward higher love.
Okay, I like that.
It is. So what I'm saying is, what I have found through reverse speech is that the moral relativity is not true, is disinformation through the eyes of reverse speech, because they are encouraging you toward benevolence. However, they will let you fall on your ass and make your own mistakes. And they consider those learning opportunities for you. So if you're not listening, then that will happen. Okay.
Can I raise my hand? Wait a second. No.
Go right ahead, Louisa.
I have my hand raised. No, the teacher has to call on me. Okay.
I'm being deputy.
Yeah. I'm going to get detention. No. Yeah, so this
I never should have told y'all that.
It's okay. No, we're having fun. It's great.
Don't tell her anything.
No, it's good fun. No, it's good fun because, I mean, I love how she has this, like a lesson plan. It's very systematic. And so I just put my headset back in.
I didn't want to miss anything. I wanted to give y'all the whole spiel.
Okay. You just let us know when it's time to start listening to reversals, okay? Because then
Well,
I'll just change my headset. That's all.
Let's go ahead and do the first one because y'all are excited about that. So
I am.
And then we'll back up. Okay, so reverse speech comes in two forms. It comes in literal speech and it comes in metaphorical speech. So I'm gonna hit you with a literal example right now. And this one is also a type called premonition. So
Beautiful.
This one was found in JFK's inaugural speech by David Oates, and it is a literal reversal. And what he says is, head is hid in the car. Okay.
The slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today at home and around the world. Here the cinematographer. Here the cinematographer. Here the cinematographer.
Okay, now you can tell by the nature of the information where it's coming from most of the time. So, and most of the time the reversals will comment on the forward speech, but sometimes that's not true. So when that one came through, that was coming from the collective unconscious. And usually they're very accurate. The ones that are future tense reversals are very accurate. So
okay, well, yeah, that's
you
great.
had no problem hearing that, right, Steve? I mean, that sounded pretty convincing.
No, that was very clear, and no, that was very clear. But okay, it's just one quick question. So, I mean, how do you know if you're listening to something that is going to be predictive of the future? How do you know? How do you tell the difference? It's going to be predictive.
Through history, normally. Like, for instance, I got
after
a future,
the fact.
Yeah, and sometimes you can tell the difference in present tense ones. Well, and what we find in reverse speech is if you ask about your finances or some sort of decision and you ignore what your reverse speech says, it usually doesn't go well, is what we have found. So it's because that's, it's coming from a truthful place inside you that has access to more perception than you do.
Okay. So you should take notice.
The subconscious.
I mean, I don't go around recording all my conversations and then reversing them. So you're saying that if you do discover it or that the message is there?
Yeah, if you discover it, you should probably listen to it because it's coming from a place that has a wider perspective than you do.
Should we talk, say if I want to do this at home and say, okay, I'll write out a little speech for myself or some sentences and do I need to put a special meaning into them, or I just need to say them meaningfully, or just off the cuff?
Well, yeah, you need to do it off the cuff. So just like we're having a spontaneous and high energy conversation. Now those generate the best reverse speech.
I see. So you can't manufacture it. Right.
Well, no, they will come through in speeches also. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you are singing someone else's song or reading the phone book, it is still your voice that is doing it. So we will hear your unique expression come through.
So it doesn't matter what I say, some things will come out.
Yeah, it's just that when it's very spontaneous and energetic, you'll get them more often and they will be more expressive, that kind of thing.
Okay. Should we try another example?
Next one. Which one would you like to go to, dear? You know how.
We're going to do some metaphorical ones. Now, this is where you're going to you kind of learn to translate English into English. So I want to just remind the audience what a metaphor is. So, for example, you can say, I had to walk on eggshells, but it doesn't mean you really did that. Or you can say, I was a cat with a long tail in a room full of rockers, which means that both of those have the same connotation, and it means that you're feeling nervous because you feel like you have to be very careful not to make a mistake. Those are both good examples of metaphors. And so in that vein, we're going to, now I don't know if you guys, we taped a clip last night off of Netflix, a 1 minute clip for educational purposes, but I don't know if you want to use that or if you want to use the audio clip.
No, we'll do it. We'll play it.
Okay, so this is about a 1 minute clip, and it's from Star Trek: The Next Generation, from an episode called Darmok, where the Enterprise crew comes across people they cannot communicate with, even though they're speaking English, because they speak in metaphor in their forward speech.
Wow.
Okay, so let me get this.
Just the audio, I think. Yeah.
No, I think. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I can't hear that.
Yeah, it's
okay.
What I'm going to do is redo this. That's okay. I can't. Hold on 1 second. Okay, now which is the next clip that we're going to be listening to?
Due to technical issues.
We're having more technical issues. Louisa is frozen.
She's frozen. So, Tiffany, tell us while she's being unfrozen, tell us what clip we're going to hear now.
Okay, so when you start working with reverse speech, you have to learn to speak in metaphors. So here are a couple of examples of that now. So now this is from crisis actor James Rock from the New Year's Eve nightclub shooting in Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow.
And I already found a reversal on him where he said that his acting was terrible while he was doing his crisis.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I found this one. So now we're going to play Name That Metaphor for the next 3 of these, okay? So I'm so sorry that, Louisa, you're unfrozen good. Are you ready to play Name That Metaphor?
Yeah, I'm unfrozen.
Name that metaphor.
All right, so what common metaphorical phrase means the same thing as this reversal that we're going to hear? This reversal, he'll say muck with arson.
Muck with arson. Okay, let's listen carefully.
I don't want to talk about what happened inside the club.
Should we play that again?
Okay. Did you hear that? Okay, Steve?
Yeah, play it once more. I don't think it hurts.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about what happened inside the club.
You're right. You can hear it say muck with
You
arson.
can hear muck with arson. Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, so as a metaphor, then, go ahead.
Now, and that metaphor means the same thing as another metaphor that we use commonly. So what is another metaphor that we use commonly that would mean the same as muck with arson?
Wow.
Now, the reason while y'all are thinking, I'll tell you why he said that. He's worried about making a mistake in his script while he's doing his crisis acting, because he already knows, you know, he's sitting there. When you see it, you can tell he's laughing, and you know, it's not anything that somebody who actually had gone through a real shooting would do. Okay. So he's telling himself that he doesn't, that he's telling himself this in reverse.
Okay, you just made a good point. What you're saying then is that you can actually have a body language analysis. Do you find that that's also a consistent and compatible process to this?
Yeah, every single one that I have done that is the same piece that Bombard's Body Language on YouTube has done, we have come up with the exact same thing. But reverse speech is a little more detailed. So our analysis has been exactly the same.
Wow.
Okay, do y'all have a guess on this? Louisa, are you all right?
Muck with arson. I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Okay.
Louisa?
Well, muck generally means like you mess something up. You know, arson is just like with fire.
Mucking up. Yeah, mucking up. Yeah.
Way or something like that. So are we close? Are we hot? We cold?
Yeah, you're warm. You want me to tell you the answer?
Wait, let's see if
No, that's it. Muck it up. We say that too. That's all. But you know.
So mess. Okay.
Mess it up.
That would be one. And another one that I equated to this would be playing with fire. Muck with arson. Playing with fire.
Or burn, baby, burn. Okay. Play with fire. Play with fire. Okay.
Okay.
This has got that music running through them today. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah. Let's do to the next one. Do you want to explain that before we start it?
So we're looking for another way to say the mobster term that he or she is dead to me. You know, when they go, he's dead to me, or she's dead to me, like a mobster term like that. What would be the way that you would say that in metaphorical speech? One way that you could say it. Just guess, right? And then we'll play it, because the answer is in the clip.
She's dead to me.
The horse head in the bed. I don't know. I would use like a
horse head in the bed might be a good one. Okay.
Our baby Al Pacino. No.
Yeah, I mean, I would get that if you said that in a metaphor, we would understand what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Especially
cruising for a bruising. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a good one, Steve. That's a good one.
Right. No idea.
Which one would you say, Steve?
No, well, she's dead to me. She's left the planet. I don't know. She's out to lunch. I don't know.
Out of here. You know.
She's out of my hair.
Yeah.
She's
been there, done that. Okay.
Okay, so now when you actually hear this, you're going to hear it's a congruent reversal. What she said forward is the same as backward, and so you're going to hear the metaphorical speech of what she's dead to me means. So you can go ahead and play that.
Okay.
Yeah, not to use the old mobster term, but she's dead to me.
Now, what did you all hear that reversal as?
That was my boy easy upon nation or something like that.
I put her on ice. I don't know.
Yeah, my boy easy upon ice.
Upon ice.
Oh, we both got
wow. Half of it. That's right. Teamwork.
My boy easy upon ice. So if you put somebody on ice.
Yeah, on ice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
concrete shoes. Yeah.
Okay. Now this one comes from John Kerry, this next one. And so what we're looking for is what would be one way to say the word families using a metaphor?
My brothers.
Costanosa.
Oh, we're not.
It's not always mafia, is it?
Now listen, John Kerry is
That's
definitely
on the
in that
mafia
place, but-
subject. I thought, John Kerry, La Mi Familia,
Yeah, he's pretty much that way. But this is actually, we're not in mafia world anymore. We're moving on from that. But
The bros, the sisters. What would it be? The brothers.
What is it?
The brothers, my brothers.
The brothers. Okay. So yeah, that could be one way. Now that's not what he said.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We ready?
Okay.
You ready, Tiffany? Yeah.
You can play it.
Okay.
Families that were
He sounds like a drunken Darth Vader.
Right.
I didn't understand. It was very
He is
distorted.
Darth Vader.
Okay.
Yeah, and that could be used.
Roses sealed as one.
Play it once more, Louisa. Maybe it'll be better.
Okay. We can clean this up though in the end.
Maybe not too loud. Yeah.
families that
Yeah, this one was difficult. Yeah, to hear.
So roses sealed as one. So that means the same thing as a family in reverse speech. And
Well, I didn't get that though. Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
Are we being graded on this?
No. Ken, do you want to be graded on this?
The tension's waiting.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so there are various structures that reverse speech shows up as, and we're going to learn about two of those types of structures today. We're going to learn about mirror reversals, and we're going to learn about link reversals. So mirror reversals are the same both forward and backward. So they're also congruent, which means that when you hear a mirror reversal, you're hearing a truthful statement. So here is a mirror reversal from Secret Space Program whistleblower William Tompkins, and that is number 6. Louisa.
All right, there we go.
They're spacecraft carriers. I designed U.S. Navy spacecraft carriers, which finally got built back in the late 70s up in Utah underneath the ground. And you've seen the pictures of U.S. Navy spaceships.
Wow.
Now, can you hear what he said?
Yeah, but very much. He said spaceships front and reverse. So there's your mirror.
Yes, congruence. Okay.
Yeah. Very good. I tried to adjust the volume a little to see if it was a little better because it sounded.
Yeah.
It was a little difficult.
So Tiffany, that means that it's the absolute truth when it's congruent forwards and backwards.
Yes. Now, you have some differences when it is incongruent, because it can be incongruent for more than one reason. So sometimes it's incongruent because you're having trouble grappling and accepting something, and sometimes it's because you're lying.
That's a tough one to discern between. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see, link reversals. A link reversal you can think of as two or more people linked together, because it is a complete thought that happens when people have a very high rapport with each other, where each person contributes to the reversal. So for example, in this example, we have two Satanists who can be overheard in the audience inside Comet Ping Pong, listening to the band Heavy Breathing. And the man asks a question and the woman answers him, and their exchange makes a linked reversal between them. So the man, you're going to hear the man say, "Pleasures you?" He's asking her a question. And then she's going to say, "Yes, we hope." Now that goes by very quickly, so you have to listen carefully. But in reverse, you'll hear the woman say, "Hail Satan." I'm sorry. And
So I thought that was Hail Satan.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
and you'll hear the man say, pleases us. So together it makes a sentence, Hail Satan pleases us.
Wow.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have yucky consciousness,
Yeah.
you'll get yucky reversals, but they still will have higher aspects that come in every once in a while to try and encourage them to get out of that.
How common is that type of reversal?
The higher aspect is not as common. It's usually the subconscious.
Okay.
Okay, so are we ready
Hit us.
for Comet Pizza?
Just you. Yes.
Whoa, didn't hear a thing.
Yeah,
That's not all of it.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. No, I had some interference. I'm going to replay it because I had some interference. I had somebody calling, and it blocked out the video. So I'll try it again. Okay. You guys with me?
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Just you.
Yeah, pleases us. I could hear.
I get the pleases us too. Yeah, I don't get anything else though.
Okay.
Let me try one more time.
Just you.
What's hard to understand here is what the forward speech is. I can't even.
I know.
Yeah,
Very, very
This
quickly.
might not be the best.
But- Well, and the reason I did that is because you have Amanda Kleinman in the background. Now, I got a bunch of her stuff, and it's just as disgusting.
Really?
I know who she is.
So Tiffany, what do you get from her usually? This woman, what do you get in the reverse speech?
Well, she does this. Have y'all seen her stage show? You
No.
know, first of all, Comet Ping Pong claims to be a family restaurant, and that.
Well, it is in that sense.
That it's pretty nasty. So that band, Heavy Breathing, is not child-centered. It's not family,
Oriented. Mhm.
There's nothing family about that band. And then
Yeah.
her reversals are just as disgusting. And one that I have that's real clear, but I didn't send it to you, Louisa, she says, "We love Lucifer." Very clear, like clear as day. That would be a VF5, a validity factor of 5.
I'm sorry, that might not be the person I'm thinking of, but go ahead. It's just ironic that it's in the same genre, but
Well, what I
the
found,
same person, because I don't know that she's a performer or anything.
what I found interesting about that is that you could pick out people in the audience talking, and that the two people talking in the audience are sitting there talking about Satan pleasing them. So, you have these reversals that are indicating that there is something wrong at Comet Ping Pong and with that whole situation. You see what I mean?
Indeed.
Right. So
Yeah,
if the audience members are Satanists and Amanda Kleinman herself in a reversal is saying that she loves Lucifer, you're
It all fits in.
dealing with choir,
No.
So,
All right.
Okay,
That's
so
where should we go? Yeah.
let's move on. So the next one is a rare find because it is a link reversal that is a mirror reversal also. Now this is my stepdad and my mom were subjects for one of my reverse speech homework assignments, and we are all retired teachers. So we were talking about education, and so this is my stepdad and I talking here.
You got to have somebody who's willing to listen. Listen.
Interesting. Very, very congruent. You could tell, yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
Absolutely.
And so there was a very high rapport there because we both were on the same wavelength with that. We're like, yeah. How do you get kids to listen?
Right.
How do you get adults to listen? Sometimes that's hard too. So, okay. So my reverse speech teacher, David Oates, has been asked if these reversals are happening just by coincidence. And David said about that these reversals are occurring every 20 to 30 seconds in grammatically correct sentences, 99.9% of the time, that have a direct relationship to the forewords most of the time. And so the statistical odds of that occurring by random chance is pretty astronomical. Okay, so now on that point, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about how reverse speech develops in humans. So reverse speech is encoded in our DNA, just like our forward speech is, and it is a part of who we are, and it actually develops before we learn to speak forwards. So now the earliest.
So you're telling me the babies speak forwards when they're backwards? That they speak backwards and it's actually forwards? Is that what you're saying?
They have reversals in their speach.
That's freaky. That freaks me out.
This is pretty.
So I could record a baby going gaga blah blah blah, and it's actually reversed.
Like, Mom, where's the baba?
Then you reverse it. Now they don't occur. Here's how that works. They don't occur. We're gonna play one of a 4-month-old.
Wow! All right, let's do it.
Okay.
This blows my mind.
So yeah, this is a baby crying at 4 months old, and he says hello.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, it's number
9.
Okay, got it.
Huh? You've got to be kidding me. Have you got another one? That just sounds like chance to me. You got another one?
Yes.
Do it. Do the next one.
Okay, now reversals in children don't come along as often. So in babies, you'll have to record for a long time to finally get a reversal because they're just learning. Okay, to speak. Okay, so they start coming along faster and faster the older they get. And finally, when they're about 4 years old, they start speaking in metaphorical speech in their reversals. And you can tell their metaphorical speech in their reversals is coming many times. They'll get it from the collective, but they'll also get it from their parents. They learn it from their parents. So this one is David Oates' daughter. Now, she was 2 years old, and she was trying to reach for a cup that was apparently not in the bathtub with her. And this is his daughter, Simone, when she was 2 years old. And she says, "David, help me," because she's trying to reach the cup. Okay, this is number 10, Louisa.
That's out of control.
We're gonna
all right.
This up so our viewers can hear it better, but yeah, I could hear it. Yeah.
All right, Tiffany. So this means we start off speaking in reverse. Is that what it means?
Yes.
So because the children are still in contact with their subconscious, is that what it means?
Oh, yeah.
And then we unlearn that, and then we unlearn it, and then we become forwards, which we're actually backwards. We're living backwards. Is that what it means?
Well, what it indicates to me is that we exist outside of time.
As children.
Part of us. Part of us. We're multidimensional.
Yeah.
No. As children especially. Yeah.
It indicates our multidimensional nature. We do things forward, backward, and for example,
sideways.
Yeah, it really, because I was analyzing a week-old recording. It was a week old, okay? And then I got up and went in the other room to have a conversation with my mom and my grandma. And I was like, you know what? I'm just tired of, I'm trying to stay on a health kick and do healthy stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take a sleep aid whenever I need to take a sleep aid. I'm gonna take a leave whenever I need to leave. And I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm tired of this. Whenever I'm in pain, I'll just take some pain medication. And so then I went back down to sit down at my and start analyzing. And the very next reversal I came across, I was like, what is this? This is not about the forward speech. And I listened to it again, and it was about the conversation I had just had in the room with my grandma and my mom on the week-old recording that I had done. So
Wow.
we exist outside of time. We are multidimensional. That was my higher aspect coming in. And by the way, it bitched at me about that and told me basically, no, you don't need to, because since I'm a targeted individual, I have to be real careful about that kind of stuff. And they were commenting, you can't take over-the-counter medications. It's going to have a bad effect on your body.
So basically, yeah, go on. Go ahead.
I have a theory about the learning reversal. It might be the reason why they drive on the wrong side of the road in the UK. Isn't that right? Because it's
no, the right side. You're on the wrong side. It's okay.
We're on the right side. You're on the wrong side.
So, all right. So what this means is that we're living. Obviously, we're living. Everything's happening at the same time. We have the illusion of linearity, and the subconscious, because it has access to the whole of time at the same time, will give us little prescient, will appear to us as prescient warnings or comments on what's going to happen in linear time. Is that correct?
They will come in and talk to you about your health like they did with that reversal, or they will come in with a future tense reversal, which is something like JFK. Well, your higher self, your higher aspect.
Right.
Universe,
or whatever. Okay. Okay.
Whatever you want to think of it as.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, for instance, even on little stuff, like Megyn Kelly, I found one on her. She goes, I hate.
Oh, do it.
What did she say?
Well, I can send it to you if you want me to, and we can. She goes. She's like sulking. She's like, I hate my shows, and then a month later, she was doing it in the middle of the interview with James Alefantis. That that interview she did, where she asked real softball questions to him, and she was worried about her shows and her subconscious. She wasn't worried about that apparently. So she says she was discontented being there, and a month later she did change networks.
Yeah. Right. Is that on your website? People can refer to it on your website.
Well, it was on my Audio Boom site. Now, let me tell you, when that started experiencing a lot of traffic and they found out that Pizzagate reversals were on there, they went, all of a sudden, the company Audio Boom decided to shrink the amount of characters you could have in the description. So now the transcript is totally wiped out. There's only the top of it that you can see. So I have to wait until I move all that over to my site. But I can send that reversal to Louisa.
Send it right now, and I can put it up. I might have to. Maybe you can put it in the chat window here. And I'm curious about the next one that you have.
Okay, now this one. Just gets me every time. Now this one's very muddy. Normally they're very clear, but I felt that this one was so important, especially to parents of handicapped children or people who cannot speak. They only vocalize and they don't speak forward. Those people have reversals. This is a handicapped child, and you hear her non-verbal vocalizations, and in her reversal, it's very mushy. It's hard to hear, but she says, Mommy, I love you.
Oh, that's so this is just so amazing, because these kids, even with autism, they want to express themselves so badly, and they can't. Steve and I, we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, you'd help a lot of autistic parents to deal with their children in a different way.
Alzheimer's patients,
as well.
People who've smoked too much weed.
About people in coma.
Wow.
What about, but there's no speech though, if they're not, or if they're like, let's say like Terry Schiavo, where she was alert, awake. I don't know if she had any kind of grunting sounds or moan. I think she had some sounds, but there was no.
If they have forward speech, you should be able to eventually find reversals in it. Now, people that are in comas, You know,
Don't talk much.
Yeah, I don't hear them talk much.
Well, I mean, I don't know what people you know in Coma, how your friends are.
But like, you know, I could have kicked myself because my dad, when my dad was in the hospital, and when he was
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Good.
When it was close to the end, and he was doing the gibberish thing, and I thought, you know, I should have recorded him, because then I could find out what he was talking about. Because
right, when there was gibberish. Yeah.
Because he was talking about forward, in his forward speech, I made out real clear. He said that there's a spiritual battle going on, because he goes, well, if I fight in 2 wars, he said that real clear. And, you know, I was in the midst of having the crap attacked out of me as a targeted individual from these dark, you know, black project type groups. So I think he was like being talked to about that when he said that. But I would like to have found out what he was saying in his reverse speech, in
Absolutely.
the all the stuff that he was saying, you know, and that's very precious to you when you have a relative that's on their way out.
That's right. So maybe, do you want to talk now or a bit later about this sort of attack thing, or you want to do a few more clips?
We have a few more let's do some more reversals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what's on the lesson plan?
We can have her back. We can have her back too. We can have her back.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to have her back.
There's a lot of material. There's a
There's a whole lot.
We like you, Tiffany. We like you. So.
Oh, thank you.
Good point.
Okay, well, let's see. David has found out, and I have too, and the stuff that I have done, that reverse speech does work in English, Spanish, French, German. So we assume that it is a normal function of human DNA, and that it works in all languages. But we would love to put that theory to the test. So if anybody out there speaks English and another language, or if you only speak English, we really need reverse speech analysts and reverse speech practitioners. So we would love for those folks to sign up to take.
How many practitioners are there, do you think, that have started with David Oates?
There are not very many of us. He just started doing this, I think, a few years ago. I'm not sure when I can get that information to you, but
that'd be interesting to know. Yeah.
There's not very many yet. So.
Would you be ready to teach, or would you leave that to David still?
There are trainers. You can go all the way up and be a trainer, because he wants to, because he's getting ready. You know, he's retirement age, so he's trying to figure out how to
pass it on
to the world. I mean, he really is David Oates is a treasure, you know, and his son was killed. His son was going to follow in his footsteps, and I'm sorry, but I found that very fishy. There were some things about his drowning that didn't make sense, and it was my humble opinion that he was taken out. So, and there's a lot of strange things about. I mean, it's
that's not very encouraging, Tiffany, for people to hear.
Well, I mean,
by the way, sign up now.
By the way, you might drown. You know.
Well, I'm just telling you right now. You know, the powers that be are very threatened by reverse speech.
Mm.
So you do take a bit of a risk, but
because it uncovers so much. It uncovers everything, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
politicians can't hide.
Exist.
They're exposed. They're exposed.
Yeah.
All right, so give us some politicians. You got any politicians on the list?
Wait, let's go. What do you have next here?
Let's see. So
Trump. I want Trump. Give me Trump. Hillary.
Yeah, there's a lot of Trump and Hillary on David's.
Obama.
A lot of that. He's got a lot of that. Go to his YouTube channel. So a lot of this you can check out and delve into after. Okay, now in honor of our Goldfish Report musicians, I've put a section in here on music reversals.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so now there are 2 types of music reversals. You're so welcome.
Yes, I see you.
So there's backward masking, and now those are unnatural, and they are usually put in as a gimmick by the music industry. Okay, so that's playing your records backwards, that kind of thing. They'll put them in there on purpose just to sell records, as a gimmick. So, and then there's what's called backmasking, and that's the term for the natural reversals that are found in music. So now I put a couple of the unnatural ones in so that we can tell the difference. So Louisa, these are the ones I sent you this morning. This is 11.1 and 11.2.
Louisa.
Did you
got
get
'em?
those?
Yeah, hello.
Anyway, while she's finding them,
No,
all right,
I've got
Tiffany.
it right here. You ready?
All right, okay.
Actually, this is labeled 12.
Okay, you didn't get 11.1 and 11.2. I sent them this morning. I didn't send them
Oh,
with the
they were, okay, I'm sorry. They're not part of the zip. Okay, yes, I did get them. And
Okay, while she's finding them, Tiffany, so David's still teaching, obviously, and how long do you think he's going to teach for?
I don't know. I hope
Hard to say.
ever.
I'm
He's
not sure what it's going to
one,
pull
I
up.
believe.
It may
Okay.
pull up any second, so.
Don't hear it. Silence.
That's backward.
Can't really.
It's very soft.
Yeah, I'll dub it in after. I'll overdub it. So tell me. So what was that? What were we hearing there?
It's not over.
It's on loop.
Yeah, no, it was actually quite long. So this is music, and who was the performer again?
I think is one of them ELO.
This one's ELO.
And then
I was ELO when I was growing up. It was good.
so they had a fake reversal stuck in there by the record company. So what you hear is you hear it as if you're playing. You hear what it hears like normally, and then you'll hear it backwards. And backwards, it's going to come out crystal clear, just like forward speech, because it is forward speech being stuck in there.
Is that the next
on
clip?
purpose?
Is that the next clip?
The next clip is
Sorry, what was the message in that? Sorry, just what was the message in that? I didn't understand a thing.
I didn't either because I couldn't hear it. This is one that David sent me early this morning.
Okay.
You'll be able to hear it when you overdub it because it's crystal clear because it's forward speech that's been
I see. All
it's
right.
not like a normal reversal that's usually a little bit fuzzy.
Distorted,
So
yeah.
That's why you can tell the difference between them so easily because it's forward speech.
Genuine. It's okay that they reversed.
So now this other one is just a silly sort of song, kind of like Grandma got run over by a reindeer, but it's not that. But it's something about a dead parakeet or something. But it was stuck in by the record company on purpose. It's an unnatural one, so it's forward speech. So you want to play that one?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's fixing to play in reverse, and you'll hear the forward speech.
definitely dubbed in there. That was forward speech.
So what band was that? When was that?
I don't know. Some silly band.
Okay.
Grandma
So they do this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do that stuff on purpose, normally as a gimmick to sell those. But you do have dark reversals coming through in very strange places sometimes, like in gospel music. Sometimes you'll hear some really dark reversals, including in their forward speech, you know. But there are lots of also that are benevolent ones that you can tell are actually good. So you can through these reversals, you can tell what side your bread is buttered on. I'll tell you that. Okay, so so this one is Paul McCartney, and this is With a Little Luck, and these are backmasked ones that are natural reversals. And these are some that I found on my homework for David Oates when I was it was like one of the very first assignments that I did.
And what do you hear in this? What are we listening for?
Oh, you're going to hear him say when he goes, and a little luck, we can clear it up. And backwards he sings, but hear me plead, unwanted love man.
Ooh.
And so he's trying to clear something up with luck. And so it's congruent. But that's 12.
Okay, let's give a listen. That's interesting. So he's talking about unwanted love there. He's saying, but hear me please, this song is to someone. He wrote this. He's really singing it to someone. This is a message to someone that he loves.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so his sort of, when you sing, you kind of embody the feeling of the song, you know, and that's what he's doing. He's embodying that feeling, and he may even have somebody in particular in mind.
Yeah, this is fairly clear. So, Tiffany, so what do you think? Do we get this when we're listening to somebody? Do we get this at some level? It's like a form of communication that's there. So we understand this. So maybe if I'm listening to somebody, I don't believe what they're saying, or I think there's another agenda. So I'm actually sensing that on a subconscious level.
When you say something doesn't sound right about that, or something.
Yeah, you can't be ignorant.
Yeah, you're picking it up on a subtle level, but sometimes you don't. Yeah. You're not paying proper attention, and sometimes you don't pick it up, and that's when our higher aspects come in, or they're saying you're not listening. You know.
Okay.
So you have to practice better discernment.
Because we're multi-dimensional. That's why there's an incongruence with the different facets of our being, where our eyes are seeing one thing, but our other eyes, you know, our other senses, in other words.
Yeah. We've got many more senses than 5. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Our other senses are picking up something else.
Yes.
And so this is how they manipulate us. With the eyes can see, you know, if they can trick our eyes, we can believe it, because we trust our eyes more than we trust this extra dimensional or other senses that we have, or higher self, higher sense, intuition. We learn to trust what we see in the physical. And so that's not always reliable.
Yeah, this is part of our expansion, the expansion of our consciousness now, and that's what they're afraid of. So Tiffany, tell me, how long have you been doing this again? How long have you been doing this? I mean, how many years?
My first class was February 20th, 2016.
Okay. So, you're not, all right, so not that long. Okay, so tell me, have you noticed in your daily dealings with people, have you sort of, are you more intuitive? Do you sense more? Is your consciousness expanded?
It does help, and they're like, you know, you got to use your tools in your toolkit to increase your discernment and so it's like stretching. You keep stretching until you reach, and when you're doing those reversals and listening for them all the time, you're almost like that was one thing that we skipped so we could get to the reversals that I wanted to get to, but you have to go through these second by second with your ears, your own ears. It's not automatic. Our program doesn't go through and find them for us. You have to sit there and do it.
No. But what I mean, if you're going down the street and you meet somebody and they tell you a story and you say, "Oh, I don't believe them," is that sort of all right?
Yeah,
that's changing with you.
Because see, what you're doing when you're finding these is you get into kind of a meditative state as you're finding them. So it's like panning for gold with your ears. And so if everybody did this, if everybody learned how at a young age to
people would know the truth. People would know the truth from the lies.
They would all know the truth. They would all be able to get back in balance, and we would all be able to unify. This has a huge consciousness expanding.
That's it.
So, and now what I've been thinking about is maybe getting with David, since I'm a retired teacher, and being able to teach this maybe like
a schools program.
Private lessons and group to begin with. And once parents really take hold of it, did you hear that, Louisa?
Your beep?
No.
Your beep?
It went off again.
Okay.
People are excited over here about this.
What's this beeping thing? I don't get it.
Wait, should we go to the next one? Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so yeah, this is still Paul McCartney, the same song, and he's doing, he says, we can turn it on, let there be no misunderstanding, and backwards he says, and that's a most sad, funny regret. Sad, funny regret.
Okay, that's what we're going to listen for.
We can turn it on, there will be no misunderstanding. It's a must-have for you. It's a must-have for you. It's a must-have for you.
Now, I just thought that was awesome because it's sort of poetic. It's really, I do love a poetic reversal, and you get those sometimes,
Well, what is your interpretation of this? I mean, so are you saying
he doesn't want a misunderstanding, and he's trying to turn it around and get his luck going again. And so it's a sad, funny regret about misunderstanding, but it's something we want to turn around.
But misunderstandings are sad, funny regrets. I mean, they are sad regrets sometimes because they're misunderstanding. It's usually kind of senseless because communication could be just so much more efficient if everybody understood, and if they don't understand, a misunderstanding could cause a lot. Look, I mean, just the fact that we text now, and sometimes that's just removed the whole nonverbal element of human communication. So there's so much miscommunication. Well, you sent me this text. I'm like, yeah, but that's not how I meant it. That's not, that's how you read it, but I didn't mean it that way. Like, people can interpret it and read it without having that human element there. And then so we're removing that, human element.
Analyze the reverse text.
Yeah, reverse text. So, and is this another song, this next one?
Yeah. So this one, I love this song. This is, do y'all remember Player, Baby Come Back?
Yeah.
No, Stu
doesn't. He'll remember.
Let me hear it. Jog my memory. Jog my non-memory.
Okay,
he's a reversal on that. I don't need to do it. I know he's lying. Okay.
So,
I used to sing this all the time.
Okay, let me.
Hit it.
Okay, let's go.
So this one is. So they're going, never give in.
I'm going to play it again, though, just to refresh Steve's memory.
Okay.
I don't recognize the reverse of that at all.
So, baby come back and never give in. So that's very congruent, right?
Yeah.
You remember.
Okay, and the next one.
Okay, now what's this next one?
Same song. And so he's the reversal is Wish I'm Your Man.
Okay, this is the same song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow, that one's clear. That's really clear.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
So, see, So these are very positive. You know, some people can get so, especially when they start learning about the cabal and all the crap that they do, they start, you know, worrying about everything under the sun and getting paranoid. This music, you know, they put a lot of metaphors and things in the forward music that are not great, but a lot of the music is really positive and human expression about love and, you know, matters of the heart.
Tiffany, would you say that the reverse speech it belies or it reveals our true intention of what we're saying the whole time?
Oh yeah, well,
it's the truth.
Yes. Like for instance.
Yeah. No. Just say so. If I'm saying a positive sentence to somebody, like I want to manifest something, if I don't mean it, then the reverse speech is not going to reflect that. It's not going to be congruent, is it?
Right.
But if I say something and my intention is congruent with my statement, that's doubled, in fact, or multiplied, and so it gives it a power that it wouldn't normally have. Is that correct?
It would, unless you are being self-deceptive, because it will cut through that. If you're deceiving yourself, it's going to let you know.
Okay, so pure 100% intention, honesty with yourself, and you say something forwards and backwards. So that's how you'd manifest, really. If your intention, that's why, you know, everybody says, oh, your intention is what's going to change the world or manifest things. So that your understanding of this would support that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so what you want to do is, if you've got bad programming in there, regardless of why, you want to make sure that you are congruent.
So that's when somebody's trying to manifest something and they don't believe it themselves and they're trying to say a positive statement, you can't trick it. Right. So you have to be congruent. So that's the trick, isn't it? So get your whole being congruent with your I see. Oh, right. That's an aha moment. That's really important. So this supports it.
So this is like, you know, an actor can't really
be something. Yeah.
Really
a method actor is something. A method actor maybe. Yeah.
If you're really embodying that feeling. Now I have, when I did the crisis actors, we did one, James Rock.
Yeah.
It was another one, I can't, somebody Swan, her last name is Swan.
Teal Swan?
No, not Teal Swan. This lady was a crisis actor, and she was, it was the fire out in Oakland, California, and she was a crisis actor, and they were interviewing her on the news, and she was telling herself to act sick in her reversal.
Okay.
So yeah. So what you'll see when you look at acting, and David found one where the guy said, "Oh my God, this is the 11th take," you know.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
So
wow.
You'll hear them coaching themselves, and things like that.
So the inner dialogue gets revealed. The inner dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's one. Now I'm still not done with John Kerry's speech that he did when he had an emergency trip to Antarctica right in the middle of our election.
Yeah, that was weird.
He had to run down there. Okay, well, I'm finding out all kinds of stuff in that.
Oh, what did you find out?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys need to go look at it. It's real in depth.
Give us a short list.
Well, hold on. Is this the crisis actor you're referring to?
Yeah, she's been everywhere. She's been everywhere.
Is this one?
No, but I'm sure she would reveal some doozies, though.
No. Get back to Kerry. What? Give me three things that was hidden in his speech about Antarctica.
Okay, so for one, forward he was talking about toxic waste and all of that stuff, but backward you found in his reversal his mind was not on toxic waste or anywhere near it. In his reverse speech you found out that he was remembering tooling around in a UFO down there, basically, and they let him basically, I guess they let him drive it or something like that, because and they allowed him to go down and see the ancient ruins, that are going on down there right now.
Right.
And he got to see one of the ET beings that he actually and worship.
He's really
that they go and worship, you said?
Yeah. He got to see one because he says
he went to go see Uncle Al.
He went to go see a conehead.
All right. So you got the ET. So what? No, Louise, this is important. What else? What else did he say? This is really important.
Well, he basically gave a couple of different descriptions of the catastrophe down there, and then it's been a while since
catastrophe.
It was buried. It was flash frozen down there. There was a big catastrophe.
I've heard the rumors, so this confirms that.
Yeah, he got to go down and see all of that, and he got to see the ET beings that were frozen in the ice.
Right.
There.
This was on
according
the
to his reversals.
presidential election, exactly.
And another thing that was revealed in those was that he basically told us in his reversal that he does worship these beings. And that and then that he also takes orders from them.
Are these the Anunnaki? Did he mention names? No.
I think these are the cone heads, the elongated
skulls
guys. Yeah, they're not a positive group. The metaphor that he uses that refers to them is Ra, but Ra is a metaphor that refers to a god. So whether it's dark or light, his is dark.
Egyptian.
It's a dark group. It's a dark group that he refers to. The Ra metaphor is talking about a god, so it can be positive or negative. But his group is negative. It's very clear what side of the bread his bread is buttered on.
And where did David get this information from? From one of the speeches he gave, or a TV interview? What was it?
Well, I did this one. This one was his. He has like a 42-minute speech that he gave from Antarctica. So it was very good, a reverse speech, because number one, he is just spilling his guts out to us because people in the cabal repress their forward speech. So, I'm only 15 minutes into that 42-minute thing, and I've already got 53 reversals.
It's a gold mine.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're very excited about that find. So there are lots of good reversals about that.
So the more you lie, the greater the reversals. The more suppression that you press something down, the greater the pressure that it comes out somewhere else. Is that correct?
Coming out in reverse, yeah. If you're suppressing your forward speech, now that is not something that's proven. That's something that I have seen, and I've seen that pattern, and I think that it will, I think that is true. But that is my opinion.
This is incredible. That's incredible.
Do we want to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So we're still on last one on player. Now this one is, I really loved finding this reversal because it's where he says, wearing a mask of false bravado in his forward speech. In the reversal, he says, who would ever trust the Tammany River? Well, now you being around New York, if you guys that like history, that's a historical reference. So this one is interesting for history buffs because he's singing about wearing a mask, and the reversal mentions not trusting going down the Tammany River, which means not trusting the flow into corruption, because this is a historical reference to the corrupt political machine that went on inside the Tammany Hall organization that influenced corrupt New York politics, and it was at its worst in the mid-19th century. So it's a reference to Tammany Hall.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait. Hold on. You have to wait a second. You have to talk for a second because I
can't hear that one very well. It needs to be turned up.
I have to redo it.
She's got to tweak it.
No,
wow, this is mind-blowing stuff, Tiffany. Mind-blowing. So
my headset on. It's okay.
I'm gonna certainly look more into this, and I can't wait to delve into it. I mean, it obviously is a learning curve involved because a lot of them, for me, it's a stretch with the interpretation, and I suppose he's got a system worked out where you feel comfortable that you're sort of getting it.
Yes.
Right.
And so, the more into reverse speech you go, the more you will learn to speak it, and the more you will understand that those interpretations.
It's like a language. It's like another language, or a language that we've lost, we've forgotten basically since childhood.
Yes.
This is why I'm sorry.
It's
Go ahead.
one that will unite the left and right again.
That's what I was going to say. Left and right side of the brain.
This is what I was talking about in this last Cobra interview that we did, Steve, where
Yep.
I had mentioned to KP that I kind of got a little, insane with this, or a little bit obsessed, I should say, not insane, but
Yeah.
because you can see, Steve, I can just see this kind of like, in your mind kind of running around.
Yeah.
See how easily obsessed you can be. Now, Steve and I did try this, just so you know, Tiffany. Steve and I did try this. We recorded 3 examples of a statement that I made that was truthful, one that was not truthful, and one that was a mix. And honestly, we can't hear anything.
No, I didn't. I didn't. Well, because it was manufactured. I think. Isn't that what she said? We didn't get zipped. No.
It sounds like a bit contrived. So
that's right.
Yeah, so you may not have found anything when it's more contrived, like if you're doing reversals on people on the news that are reading a teleprompter, that there's life in that speech. So you're still going to have reversals, but they're not going to come along as often.
Okay.
So when you add life to your speech, you're going to get lots of reversals, colorful reversals, and even poetic.
What do you mean life? Do you mean embellish it, or in a lively manner?
In a lively manner, put feeling and heart.
Feeling. So it's the feeling, the emotion is what's coming through. Is that what it is?
Yeah, more emotion will produce, regardless of what the emotion is, whether it's
positive, negative, fear, nervousness, anything, emotion.
Right.
Okay.
And so if it's genuine, it translates into better, clearer reversals.
Wow.
So
let me play that then.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I did take it out. Hold on. She's juggling.
We're in a mascot force with us, though. Wood, chocolate, salmon, and root. Wood, chocolate, salmon, and root. Wood, chocolate, salmon, and root.
Interesting. I'd like to hear what John Lennon's are like, honestly.
Yeah, well, now David does have a database full of reversals that he has found, and so you might be able to find. He's also got a backward masking one too, but he's got a whole database. So if you go now, this is the way I find it every time because I don't have it memorized. I go into Google and I put David Oates reverse speech examples or something like that, and it will come up with the database. It's a searchable database. Now, not everybody is in there, but you can do some research and you can stick.
Wow, it's incredible.
But what's also interesting is that there's only certain I guess if you're looking for something, you don't know what's going to come up. That's the whole idea. It's like you don't know what part of the speech it's going to be revealed in, or is there a science to that? Is that part of the science?
Well, once you do it for so long, you can guess what might be coming up, and there is a pattern to the timing.
There's a rhythm, there's a cycle.
It's like and so you'll hear you'll hear a cluster of them, and then you'll hear about maybe 45 seconds of silence or so, and then you'll hear another cluster.
Wow.
And it actually kind of tells a story as you're listening. So it's amazing.
I'd like to bet that the CIA has already worked out a software program that pulls these things out.
You hear this?
What's that?
Hear this?
What's that?
It's interference.
Steve, would you
analyze it?
The CIA.
They're we have company.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go, guys. Look, lovely to meet you, Tiffany. Please continue. Don't stop with we'll have her back, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. We'll talk after. Ciao, ciao. Ciao for now.
Okay,
ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Steve. Okay. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. So let's see, Tiffany. Yeah, that was an interesting thing that just happened. That interference, that sound interference.
It sounded like a helicopter coming out of your computer at you.
I know. It sure did. Yeah.
Has that ever happened before?
Never.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rogue portion of those people.
Yeah, should find out what's going on with that. So let me know what you want to do. I was just about to look at the time to see where we are with time on this, and we are at the 1.5 hour mark. So
we're going to take probably some of it out for editing, but it's up to you. I have a couple from the Wizard of Oz to finish up the musical section, and then if you want to save the ones on mind control for another time, we can do that.
I think that's a great idea, because I think this gave our viewers really, and we're still recording, of course, and I think this gave our viewers a really good idea and a great introduction, because what we're going to do in the second part 2, is just spend all the time on reversals and your explanation, because you've done the introductory, you've done the history and the background, and then we kind of really got onto some different examples. Steve had a lot of great conversations, a lot of great questions. And so I think the next time we'll be spending a lot more time on focusing on more reversals and also on the process. And this is what I knew would happen just as we would start doing the, actually I should put this back in, just as we were starting to do the reversals, I knew that we would be getting into the process of it. We'd be discussing the process, that there would be questions, because you and I have spoken much before, and I know this was your first time talking to Steve about this. So what was nice was, that he had a fresh perspective and was able to ask questions
that might be the first hearing about this for the first time, like he was today. So actually he did yesterday, but this was his first time meeting you. So how would you like to, so would you come back to do a second part? Would that be a good?
And that helps too, to know what you guys are interested in. So he was very interested in the Antarctica reversals,
right?
And
the President Trump and what the political leaders are thinking.
Yeah, so I have some of Steve Pachinik, and so yeah, maybe we can come back and do that. Now it may be a little while because I've got to get caught up on my homework, or David Oates is going to kill me.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, this gives our viewers, and also Tiffany, you know what? This gives a lot of people a chance to view it. They're not going to all view it as soon as I publish this, so it gives people who are busy, and it might take them a week before they can get to listening to it. So it gives people a little time to sit with it, to become familiar with it, to get acquainted with it, and then it'll give us time to work on how we're going to then structure the second part, which is going to be focusing on the reversals themselves. So we'll spend more time on the reversals in the second part, and so this part was good. I think it was very good, and I really appreciate you coming on. And we've had, it was interesting. We had some challenges. We had some unique situations to deal with, because it's we're limited with our equipment. So that's why we're viewer supported. It's public social media, research media. This is research, by the way, folks. I just want to put the disclaimer out, or at least direct our viewers to go to the disclaimer that we have, because we're providing research. This is information for you. What you do with it is up to you. You take what resonates with you, you leave the rest. And we love how our friend Quila Pele, who Tiffany also knows, says that, and he says that on his blog all the time. But Tiffany, we just want to tell you that this work is wonderful. It's fantastic. So grateful for you, and we really hope that we can encourage other people to also get interested in this and start doing this. And I know it's not an easy process, because as I said, Steve and I did try this and to experiment with it ourselves, and it's definitely not something you get on the first try, I think. But it was pre-planned, so I'm not quite sure that we would have gotten something. But
and if I can just interject, we don't recommend that you do your own reverse speech. And if I can just, maybe I can add how you guys can find reversals and how you can check mine before we leave. That would be great.
Okay, great.
Okay, so you can use any recorder that will play both backward and forward. You can record someone forward and then play it backward and listen for phrases that pop out at you. But we don't recommend that you do yourself, because there's a minority of people that don't like what they find. And so we recommend that you do your own sessions with certified reverse speech personnel if you want to look at and deal with your own reversals. in case there is something in there that may be disturbing to you. So that's just now, you're the boss of you, but that's just our recommendation. So you can use, there's an iReverse Speech app in the iPhone store. And then I used to recommend Virtual Recorder in the Google Play Store, but I don't anymore because I found that to be unreliable. Because you can't slow it down to hear the detail. And then David Oates is working on one for the Android app, but I do recommend a free app for your computer called Audacity.
Oh, yeah.
So you can find stuff on YouTube for how to install and use Audacity. So any recorder at all that will play forward and backward and will allow you to slow down and hear detail, and can be used, those can be used to find reversals or to check my work. So to check my work, you go to the recording that I used on the internet, you find the forward speech in the reversal, and then you record it and you play it backward, and you will hear exactly what I heard, so that you know that these recordings are not being tampered with. There's no speech recognition to find reversals. You have to use your own ears. It's like panning for gold with your ears. And then I'll send you some reverse speech websites that you can link to, like the CIA Reading Room and so on and so forth, and maybe David's YouTube channel and things like that. So,
gee, why do you think they don't teach this in the universities?
Saying you want truth and actually living it are two different things.
That's interesting. We're going to get into a lot more of this, folks, with our friend Tiffany over here and her incredible reverse speech analysis. And I think you're doing a really great service, because in this age of info wars, and I really think this is an information war. It's, I don't really think, I think, Alex Jones has come out to say that he's an actor playing a role. And so we'll give him that. But I think there's a lot of interesting things that interesting perspectives that he has. And he has said this is a war. There's a war on for your mind, and you're going to get into that the next time, because I think there's some mind control issues. There's really an issue. I think that we're talking about this in fun, and we're talking about this in a real beneficial way. But there is another side to this. You want to explain that? Well, next time, but just to kind of give us a little explanation about that.
As a preview for next time, we're getting programming. Now, how you get the programming into your subconscious mind, it may be from traumatic past experience, from traumatic past life experience, from something that happened to you recently that's just traumatic, or it can be being programmed in by these intelligence agencies that have run amok all over the planet, because they have gotten very high tech, and the 10 trillion missing dollars have gone somewhere, and we know that they have gone into intelligence agencies' high-tech stuff.
Yeah. Have you tried to do a reverse speech on that announcement that in the Senate that day?
Which one?
I think it was not Rumsfeld. I think it was Rumsfeld who admitted, the day before 9/11. Of course, he admitted, I think, that there was this, several $1 trillion missing. And then, of course, everyone forgot. Well, not everyone forgot, actually, but they were hoping everybody would forget. But not everybody's forgotten. And we need to find where this money went.
Yeah. And I have not found, I looked for that entire thing and I couldn't find it.
Okay.
Where, I only found that little tiny clip. Well, I couldn't find anything in the little tiny part. But I wanted the expanded thing. From Donald Rumsfeld, and I don't know if it's been scrubbed or what, but if anybody can find the whole thing, let me know, and I'll stick it in my pile of stuff to do, because now I have done a few on Donald Rumsfeld.
Interesting.
And he's not as bad as John Kerry, though, girl. John Kerry is awful. We'll look at some of his.
In terms of the incongruence, you're saying, in terms of the
he tells you everything, which is nice, because he's telling, reverse speech, it'll tell you the truth, but you can see the truth of who he is.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing, because I think it's, I think we have disclosures upon us. I think there's, look, I published a research paper regarding disclosure, really. Well, we had, look, before this Pizzagate thing blew up, John Podesta was still regarded as a someone, well, let's just say even he went to run the Hillary campaign, but he had said his greatest regret leaving was not telling the world about UFOs. I mean, there it is. So it is, time. It's taken, how many years was that? How many years ago was that? And it's taking a very, very long time. Well, what did you mean, John Podesta? What did you mean? You made a public statement. Hillary Clinton, when she was running, made the statement, if I'm elected, I will tell the truth about Area 51. Well, why aren't you? What do you mean if you're elected and you're not going to tell the truth? We're going to find the truth. You are telling the truth because we're going to get it in your reverse speech.
You know what? Don't postpone joy, Hillary. Tell us now, whether you're elected or not.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, we also had the Pope saying that, he would baptize aliens if they came here. It's all getting people psychologically ready for this. And what we're finding is that John Kerry, is just giving it to us right there. And also, in reverse speech, but they're telling us in their forward speech that, but we're still waiting for it.
Well, let me just tell you something, girlfriend. When I got done with that, I was listening to, I was finding all these reversals in the speech that John Kerry did with the French foreign minister. And the stuff I was finding, I was having quite the Darby Shaw moment, because I was going, I don't want to be the only person on the planet that knows this information. I really would like to get this out in the public right now. So I went ahead and I put it on Facebook, and 10 minutes after I put that on Facebook, the power went out in our entire neighborhood. So this was at about 5 a.m. because I started finding those, and I was like, I better stay up all night and just get this done and get it on.
And what was it? Why did you tell? What was it about? Like, what kinds of things was it revealing?
It was behind it. That was the one where he accused Russia of bombing hospitals in Aleppo, and it looks like some rogue faction of MI6 was actually behind some of that. And it wasn't, he was blaming Russia, and it wasn't. This is
your opinion. This is your opinion, according to your analysis.
Well, those were what his reversals were saying.
I know, and but your opinion, your interpretation is your
of the reversals. Yes.
I mean, can people have different points of view? Because what I can tell you is that I have listened to some other reversals by other people, and I can tell you that they're not all there can be some manipulation of this technology in order to try to make it sound like something's there that's not really there. And I did hear that in someone's reversal, not yours and not David Oates, someone else's.
Or if you
because I know that when you do the reversal, you can invert the sound in the speech, which can make the sound of the words completely different. So you can invert it.
That's why you want perfect transparency, and that's why I post I'm like, this is the video I used. Yeah. This is what I recorded. If you want to check it and go through and check my work, you're free to do that. So you will hear exactly what I heard on your recording of it,
right,
on the internet. So that is what makes it transparent, so that you know that these recordings are not being tampered with. Now, the guy who did that probably won't give you the same transparency if he's doing that.
Well, I don't know who it was. I'm not going to say any names right now, but what I want to tell our viewers is that I just want to remind our viewers that, to realize that we are here as a platform to provide information for you. I'm not personally here to make conclusions, and if I do have firsthand knowledge of something, I do state that. But these are not my personal beliefs, but these are very interesting issues and events of our day that we're here to discuss. And all we really ask is that you consider this perspective and have a discussion about it. But by all means, it is it's up to you. It's your choice. We're not here to tell you how to think, how to feel, or what to believe.
And this is not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not.
Everybody is not an auditory learner, you know. So you're going to have people who, just like on The Voice, they think they can sing real great, and they just they don't have that talent. Their talents lie elsewhere. So they're not gonna. Some of them are just not gonna have the gift of being able to hear these well, like people who are good at audio tasks will.
Mhm.
You know.
Interesting there. Very, 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 very interesting, because this means that we're really going to be exposing a lot of things going on, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to discount the technology. What do you have to say about that? They're going to try to attack it, say it's unreliable, say it's not what it is, but you can hear. I mean, we can all hear it. So
they already are, and it's interesting what's in their reversals about that. And a lot of them have some bad programming in there, so
I see
about those things. So you know, that's being uncovered too. But it's up to you. You know, you are the boss of what you choose to expose yourself to and get into. But this is something that is our birthright as human beings and has such a huge potential to reach for expansion of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
before you kick it to the side, I sure would, you know, go around, kick the tires, and see what you think.
Yeah.
You know, about it.
That's a Southern, and that's why we love Texans on the Goldfish Report. We absolutely love Texans. I've some of my favorite people on the planet are from Texas, so I got to tell you. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for
Well, we
joining us.
apologize for LBJ and various other people who act like Texans but aren't.
That aren't right.
Yeah,
Texans,
the shrubs.
So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on Goldfish Report. It was really wonderful, and I hope that we'll have a little bit more smoother next time. It was the first time we kind of dealt with so many tracks and listening, and like I said, we do have some limitations with our equipment, but I think we're going to do really well. We have some editing to do, and I think we're going to do pretty good. And
Louisa, I want to thank you for all that you do in pulling the curtain back so that we can, you know, get on up here and live in the light, everybody, you know, because we're tired of all this, you know, we're ready to move up.
Yeah, I agree.
All that you're doing in that.
Thank you for that. And pulling the curtain back, maybe what you see is up to you, though. That's up to the viewer. What you choose to see is up to you. I'm not going to try to tell you what's behind the curtain, but there's definitely a curtain, and I think we should take a look behind it. I think the Wizard of Oz absolutely clearly was a metaphor, as they're talking about, for some things that are going on in our world.
Well, should we end the show on that note, because I have a reversal from the Wizard of Oz, number 17.
All right, why don't we do that?
But right before,
let's do that.
Very poetic.
Let's do that. Let me go to number 17, and I'm going to unplug my headset.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that. Can you cue
the
us?
The reversal is the mirror now it helps her beautiful lily valley.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. I love that. Okay.
If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Oh, mirror life helps her lily valley. Oh, mirror life helps her lily valley. Oh, mirror life helps her lily valley.
Oh, that was nice. That was very beautiful. I like ending on that one. Too bad Steve wasn't with us to hear that one.
I do love a poetic reversal.
That is beautiful. That was poetic. That was really beautiful. And I'd love to hear Judy Garland sing that for sure.
Yeah.
So,
okay, Louisa. Well, it's so good to see you, and we'll see you again soon.
We'll see you soon. I'll end the interview. So, folks, we want to thank you all very much, and please remember to follow us on Twitter at @ Report Goldfish. Follow us at our blog on thegoldfishreport.wordpress.com. Also on our Facebook page, and of course you can help. This is a viewer-supported social media site, so you could help by with your contributions, or in any fashion. You can as a donation, or in all the wonderful links and stories that our viewers contribute. And I just want to remind our viewers that you're helping build Goldfish Report. This is a very much a very organic report. It's an organic entity, I'll call it, and the viewers are very much a part of making this grow and keeping it here and bringing the information that they want. So I want to thank our viewers from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Steve. I know he's not with us right now. He had to leave, but this concludes this edition of the Goldfish Report.